Recently, a Cleveland man was awarded $50 million from a jury verdict after he suffered tremendous brutality from police officers. This case has once again put the issue of both brutality and police shootings on the front pages, and I'm joined now by attorney Bob DiCello, the lawyer who won this recent verdict. Bob, start by telling us what happened to this man. I took a look at the story when it was developing. I followed it the first time. What a remarkable job you did up there. Tell us what happened.
Well, thank you, Mike, and I want to also thank our jury because they're the ones who deserve all the credit. The jury heard a story of a man driving through a city. He got pulled over. He was escorted out of his truck, made to sit on his bumper, handcuffed, and then he was questioned. And he was asked, "Where are the drugs in East Cleveland?" And when he couldn't answer that question because he had no idea, the detective who was doing the questioning started to punch him in his face, punch him in his head, and the beating continued until the on-duty officer, uniformed police officer who was present at the scene, got in between the detective who was in plain clothes, who initiated the stop, got in between the detective and my client, Arnold Black, and had Arnold focus on his face as he testified, and then was told by the detective to get him out of here, and they brought him to the city's jail. And the city's jail was described in testimony in this case as something like a Turkish prison or a Mexican jail. No offense to anyone who's of those origins. It's just that the history of those places and of this particular place are similar. Rat-infested, roach-infested, run-down facility. And in that facility, there was a dark corner that was gated off with a chain link kind of door and a steel padlock system. And they opened up that area and put him in there. It was a storage area or a closet, as it was testified to. Also, they decided, the city's people decided to have testimony that it was a holding cell. My client was put there for 4 days. No food, no water, no bathroom facilities. And in there with him, he testified, were cleaning supplies like mops. There was a storage lockers that were there. And it got so bad that he actually went to the bathroom in the storage locker because he had no place to go. He was given a carton of milk by one, I guess we could say, kind CO who saw him there. And he remained there for 4 days until they shipped him into the county system after his injuries had softened and his the swelling had gone down.
Bobby, the information that I had, that I followed as you were trying this case. First of all, he was stopped. He was driving a truck, and there was under the belief that he had drugs. But you pointed out something very different, and that is you tried this case, so obviously you know the facts. So if I get it right, they're randomly asking this guy, where are all the drugs in East Cleveland, as if he's going to know about it. That's the first thing that I find astounding. Second of all, the other part of this is that he had a concussion when he was put in this closet, a broom closet, for 4 days without food, without bathroom facilities, just basically abandoned and kept prisoner in that closet. Now, my memory is, as I follow this story, is that you tried this case one time and you got a $22 million verdict in the same case. Before you tried this one, the appellate court reverses it, and I took a look at the grounds for reversal were ridiculous, but they reverse it, and so you go back to trial, and this time the jury gives you $50 million. So obviously,
yes,
this has more to do with maybe the Cleveland police conduct in general. Your juries obviously are very, very angry about the culture of police up there, as obviously they should be. What did you uncover about Cleveland police?
Well, so it's the city of East Cleveland, not Cleveland. I want to make that clear. But what we found at the city of East Cleveland was a policy that dated back decades of using violence against ordinary people who were stopped at traffic stops, who were standing on street corners, who were playing cards on the sidewalk. Anyone who came into contact with an East Cleveland police officer could expect between essentially 1988 and 2000 and now, could expect to be beaten or hit or yelled at or screamed at or pushed down. Some of the testimony we got that was unbelievable was that even if they found no contraband on someone that was just, say, on the sidewalk in the middle of winter, they would strip that person down completely of all their clothes in the snow. And understand that what they did to my client by taking him from his truck, again, driving through the city after having had dinner with his mom, going home, he was a landscaper with landscaping equipment in the back. They take him from his truck and they secret him away inside the jail. It is, if that was done by private citizens, it would be a kidnapping.
Well, let me ask you something.
Yeah.
Now,
Sure.
the other facts of this case is the Cleveland police also had what they call a hit squad of some kind, where they'd send police officers out in vans, and where they saw people congregating, the police officers would jump out of the vans and beat the bejesus out of the people who were. Did that come up in testimony? Was that something that's just part of the story here? Is that true?
No, that was testified under oath by Detective Hicks. What you're referring to is something called the Jump Out Boys. The chief, who was a defendant in this case, who we sued in this case, was part of the Jump Out Boys with Detective Hicks. And what they would do is they would drive to the city, and if they saw men or women, it doesn't matter who, people congregating on a sidewalk, they would literally jump out at them, chase them, tackle them, boot them, beat them, kick them, do whatever they wanted to them, search them, and if no contraband was found, again, I go back to what I was saying earlier, they would even go so far as to take their clothes off in the middle of winter. They would do anything they wanted to ordinary citizens who were, again, violating no law, just gathering on street corners, and that was the Jump Out Boys.
You know, obviously, your history as a trial lawyer, you and your brother have a remarkable history as trial lawyers. I've followed your careers. You know, and it is remarkable the things that you undertake. But this undertaking really exposed you in a lot of ways too. These aren't kind and gentle folks that you were dealing with, and so this is the second time around. They made it as difficult as they could for you. And here's another thing I want to hear from you, because I want to know if this is true or not. That as I was following the case, that there was testimony of one of the officers, I think it was Hicks, who said, we simply have a culture of violence within our police department. This was one of the witnesses testifying for East Cleveland. Did I get that right, or is that just is that a myth?
That is actually 100% correct. And the way he described it was chilling. He said there was the right way, the wrong way, and the East Cleveland way. Think about that. And he also noted that had he not used the violence that he was required to use every single day, he said he'd still be a patrolman. He would have never become a supervisor. And he was, it's so important, he was the supervisor of the street crimes unit for the entire city of East Cleveland. So he was not just some renegade detective. He was responsible for implementing the East Cleveland way, which was an absolute attack on ordinary people.
Okay, one thing I saw as soon as you got the verdict, what's happening is we're rehashing and we're revisiting what goes on in most police departments throughout this country. There's a real important discussion taking place in police departments that want to do better. And that is, you know, we can either take a warrior position to where it's us against them all the time, or we can take something that merges with, you know, we're guardians too. We're not just warriors. We have to do both. You see the real progressive police departments taking that. What do you take away from what Cleveland and cities should learn by this case, where you hit the city for $50 million after you hit them for $22 million? What's the takeaway? How do police departments do better?
So what they have to do better, and the takeaway here is very simple, that tough economic times, as you find in East Cleveland, are no excuse for decent, humane police practices. And in fact, during trial, the city defended part of this case by saying, we're a real rough city, and we don't have a lot of resources. East Cleveland's different than the city of Cleveland. Cleveland's huge. East Cleveland was small. And they tried to justify some of what happened here by saying it was economically feasible And by the way, what would you want? Would you want drug dealers being treated nicely? Well, the problem with that was, as we pointed out in the case, there were never any statistics done, never any measure of who was actually a drug dealer. They were just fighting and beating up anyone, including themselves. There was testimony about that, unbelievably. They would fight each other. The police would fight each other in the garage of the police department. I'm not making that up. That came out in testimony. So the violence was a shortcut to really decent, humane police practices. And so that would be the takeaway.
Yeah, to intelligent police work. Both can happen. Both are. It's happening in cities around the country right now that are paying attention. We're not just warriors. We're warriors and we're guardians. And this new approach, you know, there's some middle ground, and let's hope we get there. Bobby, first of all, outstanding result as a trial lawyer. It's just beyond belief what you had to undertake just to handle this case. And I got to tell you something. It moves the ball in favor of people that need protection when you get a verdict like this. Thanks a lot.
Well, thank you so very much. And coming from you, a great trial lawyer, it means a lot.